Hello, everybody. Welcome to Raising Vibrations, and we're Simon today, and we're going to be looking at the full moon that just recently happened yesterday, and we're going to be looking at the winter solstice alignment, which also took place on the 21st of December, and we're all going to be doing this on the 22nd of December, 2018. So firstly, I hope that everybody is well and doing okay under this current energy. We've had Mars moving through Pisces, for quite some time, and it's been moving over Neptune. So one of the things that I am super intrigued to ask everybody is, how have you been finding yourself navigating through this deep nebulous energy of Pisces and Neptune, and being swallowed by the collective whole, being deeply sensitive to the way that life has been operating at the moment, and how is chaos and crisis being befriended by yourself? So I'm going to start off with a little bit of information, of course, on our website, Raising Vibrations, or should I say raising-vibrations.com, is our article on the full moon. And for those of you that are inclined to, take in the knowledge in a way that's more in a written format, I encourage you to go check that out. That is in the description below, and it is also in the comments, and that will take us straight through to the written article. So, happy winter solstice to everybody. Like I said, I hope you're well under this current energy at the moment. And so I thought it was, just a great opportunity to look at the current chart and share some of my thoughts and opinions and perspectives on, what's currently transgressing for us. So the first point I'm going to look at, of course, is Pluto. I'm going to take the focus onto Pluto over here. And you can see that there's the South Node in Capricorn is approaching Pluto. It's going to take probably another 2 months for this to happen, maybe a little bit less. And so what we see here with this underlying, energetic wave that is moving through the collective at this point, this deep undercurrent that is, pulsating through our collective awareness, is everything that is associated with, our unacknowledged emotional reality. Jen wrote it very poetically in the article where she talked about this facade that we have to put on, that sometimes we choose to do because it's what the world is about, and sometimes we do it because we're unable to process or know how to deal with these big feelings. And I think that Pluto's transit through Capricorn has really been pushing the envelope on how we've had to reparent ourselves, especially around the acknowledgement of our unresolved emotions and feelings. And we, unfortunately, have lived in a culture in which the sort of definition of what constitutes healthy emotional reality has been repressed and suppressed. And so we don't feel free. We don't feel free to share our feelings. We don't feel free to have our feelings expressed, because there's a part of us that knows that there's a certain judgment or a certain conditioning that will be laid on top of those emotions that inherently makes us feel vulnerable and scared. And, we're still very much children in those ways of healthy emotional expression. And so with Pluto's transit through Capricorn and this sort of approaching South Node, you can see that there's a closing in phase of how we're needing to acknowledge these things as not something that just goes, oh yeah, no, those are existing there. It's like, oh, we do need to do something about it, and you need to do something about it, and I need to do something about it. And it's not a go out there and be active in this process. It's recognizing it and noticing it as something that's crucial and essential, and then taking steps every day to bring that closer to home. as in closer to yourself, closer to the essence of what it is that you are. Because there's a lot of truth that is held. There's a lot of messages that are held within our emotions. They give us a very strong indication of where our boundaries are, you know. And many people that are watching this video have been exposed to a lot of their boundaries being broken or distorted or not acknowledged. And so learning how to, you know, push back the dentedness within our boundaries is a very healthy thing for us to be able to become more empowered and more integrated. You know, when I did this video, I talked about the nodes of, you know, the nodes of the moon, which are sitting over here, there, 26 degrees, 26 degrees. This is an integration of the cycle that has just recently taken place with the North Node moving through Leo and Aquarius. So how do we integrate the fractured emotional dynamics back into our sense of identity? So this is the core, right? This is the undercurrent that is moving through us at the moment. The reference to the picture that I've chosen over here is, of course, we know that Stonehenge is infamously associated with solstice and the measurement of how, you know, we could identify the alignment of the sun and the moon's transit through these two crucial, or these 2 points, right? The summer solstice and the winter solstice. So this is the night version in our background over here. So when we look at something and we take our attention and we kind of look at the sun and the moon, we can see that that in this full moon that took place, this is of course on the 22nd. So the 21st, the sun and moon were actually at 0 degrees. They just entered Cancer Capricorn. And I think this is a crucial thing to observe because, you know, firstly, the sun and the moon are squared by Mars and Chiron, and the nodes are squared by Uranus. And the reason why I bring in the nodes with Uranus is because this full moon brought into the equation and the initiation of what the next step is for our evolutionary intention. In other words, what is the current that we're moving through, Pluto? How does that current now become shaped by something that's more specific? And so that specificness is through the nodes. And this full moon was the initiation into the storyline that is going to become what we will be dealing with for the next, 16 months with the nodes moving through Cancer Capricorn. And the square that the moon and the sun are having to Chiron and Mars reveals to me, and this subtle sensitivity that we're going to have towards where our boundaries, okay, and when I talk about boundaries, I'm talking about personal space, have never been fully acknowledged as being okay. So we didn't have them validated from our parents, so we didn't know how to, so we kind of create codependency dynamics. We didn't really integrate healthily into society in a way where we could acknowledge other people's boundaries, so we would push those too much, so the other extreme. We were essentially inherited through growing up into a culture in which there was a very domination, oppressive type of attitude towards human beings. You sit still, you obey, you go to school and you do these things and you follow these rules, but you follow these rules, you don't question them. And when you do question them, there's severe consequences that will eventually teach you that if you challenge the authority, it's not a healthy thing, so shut up and sit down. There's trauma there. There's displaced emotion. There's unresolved anger. There's sadness. There's apathy. There's discontent. There's unrest. This Mars energy that is connecting with Chiron, to me, symbolizes the sort of subtle thread of what is going to be conditioning this storyline that we're going to experience with this Cancer Capricorn nodal axis. And now when I bring Uranus into the focus, what I'm showing here is that Uranus reflects to us the deep subconscious collective, or the deep subconscious memory, and our individual subconscious memory. So everything that we have experienced that we don't necessarily remember consciously exists within a storehouse in our subconscious that's there, right? And for those of you that are struggling to make a connection to what I mean by this, you'd need to just look at the work of Freud and many other psychotherapists. Jung, he explored these dynamics. For a greater visualization, if you go onto the internet, Google in just subconscious memory and the iceberg, and you'll see an imagery talking about this. So Uranus connecting to the nodal axis reveals to me that there's some unresolved trauma that exists within our subconscious that is needing to be integrated in this storyline that is the human evolution for the next 16 months. Now, Uranus is not going to square the nodes for much longer, but it is absolutely crucial, I think, to acknowledging that part of what Uranus will be doing is will be illuminating to us where beneath the surface these emotions are displaced. And it will be brought to the surface. And when it's brought to the surface, what we do with this beautiful Mars Chiron connection, as Mars also trines Venus over here, and also the North Node, is that there's a healing element that needs to be included into it. So firstly, it's a dynamic of breaking down the barriers of separation and exclusion, and where we have essentially, through gender roles and racism and deep distortion within the definition of human beings and our separateness and our aggression, where our woundedness sits, where we've lost that connection to our unity, we need to refine it again, in my opinion. And it's not something that just like all of a sudden we're like, oh, we need to refine this. We have been doing this already. Lots of people, including yourself, if you've been listening to this, has been doing that work to find that unification. That unity that we're trying to find is to dissolve these barriers between us, to see the woundedness in the other person and in ourselves. And it doesn't mean that now we have to feel sorry for the other person and keep an abusive relationship in our life. It means firstly to acknowledge where we have had our boundaries pushed and we've never been able to allow for us to integrate space for our healing to take place. And so as we do that, we allow for ourselves to see the other person in their story. So we can really work with this potential to blame the other person or blame other people for our own internal dialogue that we have and, definitions of what we think should and should not be. So this sensitivity that I think will come up for us, and, it's about being heard, I think, in a very big way with Jupiter-Mercury in a new phase conjunction. See, this Jupiter-Mercury is actually squaring Neptune here. And it's to do with kind of where we haven't been really fully able to express the storyline. And what hasn't been natural for us has been traumatized, and what has been natural for us has not been fully allowed. So we've really not known what it's fully like to just live without dealing with societal judgments and conditionings and certain behavior patterns that you have to adhere to in order to fit into things, and rules of conduct that need to be adhered to, like I said, in order for you to fit in, and how that is natural or not natural. So with this new phase conjunction between Jupiter and Mercury in Sagittarius, there's an opportunity for us to rewrite the stories, to think it differently, to communicate it differently, to give yourself the opportunity to say, yes, I would like to share this, or yes, this is important for me, or I need to validate this really. And I think with the square that Uranus is having to the nodal axis, it will create stuff to come to the surface. And if we can, be sensitive to that wounding that took place at a different point in our lives, and to objectify that Uranus, there's a potential for us to really be able to communicate this in a new way, so that when we communicate in a new way, we're bringing all of this stuff here and we're bringing it into the North Node. We're bringing the new story into the North Node. We're bringing the release of that emotion into the North Node. We're giving ourselves space to be. And the more we do that, the more we acknowledge that, the more that we acknowledge the wound, we acknowledge the more that we acknowledge the sadness that sits within the story, I think the greater we're going to have the opportunity to move forward in radically transforming the power that exists within the social construct at the moment. Not only in your personal life, of course, but collectively moving forward, we know that the things don't work anymore for us. We know that there's unrest. We know that there's repressed rage. We know that things need to change. The way that we go about doing that is allowing ourselves to move with the current, and that current is, how do we acknowledge the actual reality for ourselves and give it meaning? Allow it to be where it is, and then from that place, surrender it and take the wisdom from the sadness and integrate it into yourself to give yourself more space to be truly authentic in your own expression. Okay. That's the kind of storyline that I feel is, a beautiful message today with the chart of the day and the winter solstice. And of course, for everybody that's living in Australia and the Southern Hemisphere, this is your summer solstice. I think it's a crucial message. So, and for those of you that would like to read the article, check out the description. The comments below, we'll post the video, the link to the article. For those of you that are wanting to study astrology, the full Evolutionary Astrology online Raising Vibrations course is available. It's on the website as well. It's a self-paced, study course. It was an amazing experience to create. I really took a lot of time to educate in those videos. There's a student group as well that I'm busy doing sort of, some tasks with. If you're interested in wanting to learn astrology, this is a great opportunity to jump onto that. It's, self-study. You can go at your own pace. You don't have to do it all at once. And like I said, there's an opportunity to connect with other students in the way as well. So if you're thinking about learning, I'm letting you know about that. It's there on the website. Other than that, me and Jen, busy working on creating a 2019 forecast for you, written article, and eventually we'll do a video with that as well. So that's going to be coming out really, really shortly. And if you want to know more about what's happening for us, you can always come check out our Patreon page, and in the description is our Patreon as well. And I think that's it. All right, everybody. Have a good Christmas kind of experience with friends and family, for those of you that have got that opportunity, and celebrate that. And I look forward to speaking to you in another video. Have a wonderful day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.